Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Albina, and I hope everyone can hear me. Kindly, if you cannot hear me, post it on the chart. So yes, as I've mentioned, my name is Albina, and I am the Coordinator Operations and Account Management at M-Shule, and I will be kicking off today's session by giving an overview of the webinar and house rules before I hand over to our presenter. Once again, thank you all for honoring our invitation to this session on dynamic ways to implement digital assessment. Our goal is for this session to be as interactive and as engaging as possible. We will share with you the approaches and tools we have developed and give case studies and learnings from this to support you and the organizations to make assessments effective and efficient. Just to go through a few house rules, please mute your mic when you are not speaking. As we go through the session, please send your questions on the chat, and I will keep track of all questions and lead off with them during the Q&A session towards the end. And do not worry about taking notes, as we will share this recording with you before the end of the week. Also, feel free to share this event on social media using the hashtag digital assessments and tag us at our M-Shule. This will be added on our chat as we go on. So before we start, I'd like to give a little bit about information about M-Shule. So M-Shule, meaning mobile school in Kiswahili. We are Africa's first personalized knowledge building platform in Africa to connect learners to tailored learning, evaluation, activation, and data tools over SMS and chatbots. We were founded in 2017 and started off by offering academic courses. And to date, we have professional courses, life skills, data collection, and behavior change. We have reached out to over 20,000 households to date, not only in Kenya, but also in East Africa. M-Shule brings 4 key activities through our LEAD toolkit. And as you can see on the screen, LEAD stands for Learn, Evaluate, Activate, and Data. The tool makes accessible personalized learning and training, testing campaign messages, and data collection into one simple tool, making it easier for programs to equally and equitably reach to each of their stakeholders directly. For program teams, our platform is designed to overcome limitations of budget, time, and in-person resources in project implementation, as well as challenges facing real-time monitoring and evaluation. This leads to reduced data collection time, while increasing the data quality and the quantity, and supports faster, better follow-ups and remedial action for all. To both our current and future clients, if you are interested in exploring implementing assessments for your programs, please feel free to reach us through our email, that is partnerships@mshule.com. That has been shared on on the chat. And I would now like to hand it over to our presenter, Sarah Cohen, who is our learning management consultant. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Albina. We are going to start, excuse me. We're going to start with a brief poll. Please just take a second to answer the question that should pop up on your screen. Okay. So, sorry, I want to start with a brief discussion. As Albina mentioned, we'd like to make this as interactive as possible. If you replied yes to the poll that popped up, how does your organization currently use assessment tools? We'd love it if some people could share your responses. And if you'd like to share, you can just go ahead and unmute.
Hi, my name is Faith from Dignitas. I'd like to respond. We have got different types of tools. Before any program begins, we use tools for baseline, and these ones help us to map out the start point in terms of the different learning areas that we want to see changes in. And so we use the baseline tools to be able to map the start of points. And then at midline and at the end of the program, we repeat the same similar tools so that we can be able to map out the changes. When we also do trainings, as Dignitas offers trainings around school leadership, we use session evaluations to be able to look at the change in terms of what knowledge the school leaders had at the beginning of any training, and by the end of that training, what has changed. So those are some of the examples that we use for the assessment.
Thank you, Faith. Does anybody else want to share how they currently use assessment tools? I see we have Joseph with us today. Joseph, do you want to talk a little bit about how your organization uses assessment tools?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. For us, I work for Dan Church Aid and for their learning department. For us, we usually use assessment tools just to assess knowledge, mostly for during the trainings that we actually do. So when you get into training courses, we do an assessment, and when you finalize it, we also do that. We also do so learning needs assessments within the organizations that we work with, just to identify their needs and see how it is best we can serve them and how we can actually target them. So that's mainly what we do with the assessment tools that we have.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of us think of, when we first hear assessment, we typically think of academic assessment, but there are actually lots of different types of assessment. Like you mentioned, there can be needs or gap assessments. There can be professional assessments in the workplace. So those are really good points to make. Is there anyone else who would like to share before we move on? Okay. So I think a key question to answer before we proceed, given that the focus of this webinar is on assessment, is why is assessment so important? So assessment, as most of us know, is a key feature of instruction. That can be instruction in a formal educational setting or in a non-academic context, like the workplace or a program for out-of-school youth. And the reason why assessment is a key component is because it helps instructors and facilitators determine if learning goals have been met. There are two types of assessments, and well, there are more than two types, but there are two main types we'll be talking about today. And I want to give a brief definition for when they come up a bit later. Assessments can be formative. These are assessments that are given during the learning process. They monitor student learning and allow teachers or facilitators to course correct as needed. Or they can be summative. These take place at the end of a learning process or unit. And these are sort of the end of term, end of school year, national standardized assessments that most of us are familiar with. Another reason why assessments are so important is that the information that assessments generate can be used to make a variety of decisions. This can be decisions about how to best support a learner based on their individual grades on an assessment. It can be decisions about the contents of a national curricula. It could even be something as big as education system reform. And in the workplace, it could be data from assessments could be used to determine what kind of professional development opportunities a company is going to offer their employees, for example. Excuse me. I think another really important question is, why is conducting assessments so challenging? And there are four major hurdles when it comes to delivering assessments of any type. The first is time. It is challenging to find efficient ways to assess large numbers of individuals. The second big challenge is money. The average paper and pencil national assessment costs around $24 US per learner, which is quite expensive. The fourth big challenge is alignment. And when I say alignment, I mean choosing the right assessment type, choosing reliable, validated assessments that really match the learning objectives you're trying to measure. And the fourth big challenge is data. So analyzing and using assessment data to inform teaching and learning and to make decisions about teaching and learning is time consuming and expensive. And it's also a skill that not everybody possesses. I want to ask another question, another couple of questions here. The first one is, from your own experience, is there anything you would add to this list of challenges in conducting assessments? And again, if you'd like to respond, you can just unmute.
Can I jump in here?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that another thing that is a challenge is understanding what an assessment is and what you want to do with it. So apart from time, money, alignment, and data, also, is it formative? Is it summative? What is the purpose of the assessment that you want to do, and how do you want to act on the results of the assessment? I think that is something that is also a challenge. So that's something I might want to add.
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you for that, Casper. Is there anything anyone else would like to add to this list? Great, so we have another poll that we'd like you to answer. And again, it will pop up on your screen shortly. And it's asking, what is the biggest obstacle that you or your organization faces in carrying out assessments? And we can include Casper's point about the type of assessment you're using and the reason why you're using it under data, if that is your biggest hurdle. So just take a minute to answer this poll for us. Great, thanks everyone for voting. Interesting, there's a three-way tie between money, alignment, and data. So we're going to talk in a little bit about how M-Shule's assessment toolkit can actually solve some of these challenges for you. So I want to talk a little bit about, excuse the typo there, what does the current assessment landscape look like? So we know that assessments are critical data collection opportunities. The primary benefit of assessment, like I mentioned, is that it provides information about whether students of any kind are learning. We know traditional formal education has a variety of stakeholders. Of course, we have children who are the beneficiaries, we have parents, we have taxpayers, policymakers, and educators. And all of these parties need accurate information about whether or not learning is taking place. We also know, though, that current testing practices often use pencil and paper and require expensive human resources, which drives up the cost. For example, Kenya has spent around 3 billion shillings just on printing test papers for the primary and secondary leaving examinations, and that's just this year. That's quite a huge amount of money. And that figure doesn't include the involvement of people like security officers. It doesn't include intensive monitoring or provision of daily allowances to education administrators, all of which are strategies that are used to prevent cheating on the examinations. The high costs of assessments means that not enough data is collected to make decisions or to design effective interventions. In addition, this often means that an entity will only deliver one type of assessment to all children, which sometimes leaves children with special educational needs a bit in the lurch. And it means that typically they can't be accommodated with alternative assessments. And then finally, this lack of data means that sometimes poor decisions are made or learners are left behind. And I want to give an example here from M-Shule's own experience. A teacher at one of our partner schools was able to use very simple data generated from one of our assessment tools to restructure her lesson plans in order to revisit certain topics that the data showed her students were struggling with. So a very quick and easy pivot on her part using simple real-time data that she was presented with. And I want to ask another question here, and that is, does this overview of the current assessment landscape align with your personal or professional experiences of assessment? You feel free to respond in the chat as well, if you would like.
Hi, this is Estelle. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have a special project in 5 schools. My head teachers in these primary schools are complaining about the quality of exams they get from the ministry, and there's very little possibility for their complaints to be heard. So what they've asked me to do is to provide them with alternative exams. We deal particularly with maths and English, and they have this year given them to their students because the head teachers say, based on these exams, they have difficulty in assessing how well their students are learning, and they like another tool. So that's something we've just provided them for the first time this year. We'll see what that result is, but I thought I'd share that.
Thank you, Estelle. Yeah, I think another one of the challenges that I didn't mention here is quality. We know that typically national assessments, of course, are all the same across the school system, but within schools, assessments can be of varying quality, and like you said, they're not always high quality. So it's a great point you've made. Is there anybody else who would like to respond? Okay, so what is M-Shule's solution to some of these challenges? We have designed a assessment toolkit. And like all of M-Shule's products, the assessment toolkit contains a range of tools that are backed by rigorous research and testing and have proven to be highly effective. This holistic range of tools is designed to be both inexpensive and very easy to use, even with minimal or no training. So the main components of or tools within this toolkit are digitized versions of international assessments. We have soft skills assessments. We have a formative assessment MicroCourse, a micro e-resource library, and we also offer assessment digitization services. So I'll talk about each of those briefly. The first, like I mentioned, we have digitized some very popular and widely used international assessments. I'll talk about 4 of them here. The first is the EGRA and the EGMA. These are the early grade reading and early grade mathematics assessments. And you'll see some highlights and usage examples there. The EGRA and the EGMA have been used in over 50 countries and have been adapted for use in more than 70 languages. And we currently have both of these assessments available for use in multiple languages. We also have digitized the ACER. This is an interesting assessment that comes out of India. It can be delivered by community members because it is very simple to use and very simple to adapt. And this assessment, we've adapted it for use in Kenya, specifically with early grade learners. We have used it to measure the impact of a SMS-based intervention to measure literacy levels in young learners. To date, we've assessed 250 learners using this tool and found an average increase of 14.4% in ACER scores after implementing our literacy intervention. And then another assessment that we have also digitized is the OASO assessment. We've actually adapted this particular assessment for use across 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. We've translated it into 3 languages, Kiswahili, Lubara, and Arangati. And we've used this assessment to date to test around 9,000 learners. We collected data from this testing and analyzed that data against preset benchmarks. So some of the key features of our digitized international assessments is that they are low tech. So all elements, not just these assessments, but all elements of the toolkit can be delivered via SMS or chatbot. Of course, with SMS, there's no internet required. With chatbots such as Telegram, it uses very low bandwidth, and they can all be delivered on your regular phone. So there's no additional hardware required. They're also low cost. These assessments can be delivered for as low as $2 per learner, as compared to an average of $24 per learner on other international assessments. We also offer a full range of support. we can provide in-person or virtual user onboarding and training. We have comprehensive data collection and analysis services, including the provision of real-time data. We could also make recommendations based upon data analysis for improving teaching and learning. We've also developed some soft skills assessment tools. We have a what we call our standard soft skills assessment tool. This measures a set of widely generalizable soft skills. Those are broken down into 4 categories. We have social skills, self-management, academic soft skills, and approaches to learning. And we can also customize this assessment tool to meet the needs of a particular school, curriculum, or education system. For example, we have customized this tool so that it corresponds to the CBC curriculum in Kenya, which we know weaves in the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and imagination, and citizenship across subject areas. We've also developed as I mentioned, a formative assessment MicroCourse. Research shows that formative assessment in the classroom is the most impactful and cost-effective approach to raising student academic achievement. But we also know that many educators have limited exposure to formative assessment and how it's used. So we developed this course with the goal of preparing teachers to develop formative assessments, analyze achievement data, and take action based on the results without investing a significant amount of time in training. This course can also be used as refresher or support material for existing professional development workshops or trainings that an organization is already running. And you'll see there on the screen the 5 subtopics that are covered in the course, and a little bit of information about what's covered in each subtopic. We've also developed what we call a micro e-resource library. 2 of the resources that we currently have available are formative assessment tools. These are brief descriptions of different tools that are commonly used and very easy to implement in the classroom, such as exit tickets, observations, and one-on-one interviews with learners. These tools break down how these types of formative assessments are used, how the data can be collected, and how the data can be actioned on. And they are designed to be able to, for a teacher to be able to go through them in under 10 minutes. They can be reviewed as many times as the teacher or instructor needs to get a refresher on how to deliver different types of formative assessment. And we also have soft skills lesson plans that are meant to be used in conjunction with the soft skills assessment. So we have lesson plans on how to foster things like collaboration, communication, and problem solving in either short lessons or within existing academic lessons. And lastly, M-Shule also offers assessment design and digitization services. These include assessment creation and development. We can create adaptive or standardized assessments. Assessments can be numeric, multiple choice, or open-ended. We provide automatic marking, grading, and analysis services, and we can also set up automated scheduling for delivery of assessments. So we have another poll here. This is the last one. If everyone can respond to this poll, that would be really helpful. Great, thank you everyone for voting. The top selected element was digitized international assessments, followed by the formative assessment MicroCourse and assessment digitization services. So that's really helpful information for us as M-Shule. I'm going to hand it back to Albina now, who's going to give you a little more information on M-Shule and start the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. So just a quick update on where we are at as M-Shule to date concerning the assessment toolkit. So to date, we have been able to reach over 20,000 households, and we have also been able to assess over 1,000 individuals. We also have over 25 ready courses on our content catalog in multiple languages, and we also have 10 and counting assessments available. So I will open up the floor for any questions that anyone has. We can have people maybe unmute themselves, and in case a question pops up and somebody is speaking, you can also be able to share it on the chat, and I will be able to have a look at them. So the floor is open for any questions.
Hi, this is Estelle. Can you hear me?
I guess we can hear you, Estelle.
Okay, good. In my particular kind of project, what would be helpful would be, how could head teachers assess how what their teacher's skill is in getting the lessons across to the students? Do you have some kind of equipment for that, particularly in maths and English?
Thank you, Estelle. This is a great question. And I believe we have someone from Dignitas here. Dignitas has done a fantastic job in really figuring out the puzzle for how to assess teacher performance. But one of the tools that we can develop at M-Shule is a teacher observation tool. So via either SMS or chatbot, someone like a head teacher could be taken through a series of prompts or questions that they could answer as they're observing a teacher in the classroom. And then we could then provide real-time analysis to that head teacher based on the data on how the teacher is performing, and even make some recommendations for improving performance. Oh, Estelle, you're on mute.
That would be really good. So what I should do is contact M-Shule about how to get that for my 5 head teachers. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be wonderful.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Estelle.
Anyone else with a question? You can also give a comment or seek clarification on something. Thank you, Esther. We've seen your chat. Awesome. Sarah, kindly, can you share the last slide on how they can be able to reach us? James, I hope that information is enough. Sarah, there are a few questions on the chat.
Oh, thank you. Let me get a chance to look. Great. Yes. I think we answered your question, James, about how you can reach out to us. Elizabeth, and I'm sorry for your struggle in joining. We will be sharing the recording of the session before the end of this week. Priscilla, great question. When will we get a chance to experience the platform? I think it all makes a lot more sense when you are able to visually have a look at how our SMS and chatbot elements work. If you would like to experience the platform, you can search for us on YouTube to get a little bit of a sneak peek, or you could also book a time to speak with someone from our business development team who can take you through the platform as well. Yes, Katie, we will share, as I mentioned, we'll share the recording before the end of this week so that you can share it with your colleagues. I think those are all of the questions, unless anybody else had additional questions. I think there's one last poll.
Excuse me, Sarah, when you share the recording, will the chats also be on that so we can see those questions?
That is a good question. Albina, do you know the answer to that?
Yes, sorry. I had a bit of a technical issue, but I think it should also show the questions, but if not, we have taken note of them and we can also just share with you.
All right, because I don't know how to get into the chat portion of what I'm doing. I only know how to get into the the unmute my mic thing. So I didn't see I saw some of the questions, but I didn't see the answers.
Yes, I think we'll also take note of the questions that have been asked in the chat, and we could share those as well.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
I think we have some more questions on the chat.
Yeah.
Let me just check. Let's see. I'm not the lesson plans on Telegram. I'm not sure specifically which project that was, but we are definitely still working on developing lesson plans for teachers. Dan, Chris, is there anything specific that you had in mind? You can either respond, unmute your mic, or just type in the chat. Dan, Chris?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, there was a time, I think I got connected by Albina some time back. I think it must have been last year, but one or something. There were some lesson plans being developed by M-Shule, and there was a trial that we did. It's only that I don't know if the program is still on. That's what I actually wanted to ask and find out. Albina has more information, I suppose.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you so much for that question. That was something we were testing out and seeing if it was a need for that teachers feel that it is a need for them to have, but it is something I'm sure the learning team was working on. Sarah, might you have any clarity on that? Because I am sure it is still on the roads. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Albina. It is something that we have thought about. And again, we are interested in hearing about what kinds of lesson plans would be most relevant for different stakeholders or different organizations. So if lesson plans in particular would be relevant for anyone, not just for Dan Chris, but for anyone here, feel free to reach out to us and let us know what it is that would be particularly relevant for you, and we can definitely have a discussion around that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Great. Thank you to everyone who responded to the poll. If you responded that you would be interested in having a meeting, we will reach out to you shortly to schedule a time to talk. And of course, you can reach out to us as well. Did you want to wrap up?
Yes, sure. We can be able to wrap up if there is no further question or comment. So thank you once again, everyone, for honoring our invitation for this session. If, as Sarah has mentioned, if you'd like to book a meeting with us, please reach out to us on our partnerships email. You can see it on the screen. You can also reach out to that number if you need any clarification. You can also be able to visit our website and be able to just have a look at that. So once again, thank you, everyone. We'll be able to share the recording within the week. And I have also gotten a request for the slides. We will also do the same. Thank you so much, everyone, and do have a lovely afternoon and rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank